Imagine the world around you, constantly trying to connect, sending signs and signals that, however, escape your notice due to a lifelong habit of ignoring them. These subtle messages appear in the most unexpected forms. A song playing precisely when you think of a specific person, a recurring number that seems to follow you everywhere, or a chance encounter with a stranger who holds the answer to a long, troubling question. You might be inclined to dismiss such phenomena as mere coincidences, yet deep down, a feeling stirs that there's something more to them, and that feeling isn't deceiving you. Synchronicities are not just random occurrences. They are a form of message, patterns woven into the very fabric of reality, guiding you towards something greater and more meaningful. Ancient civilizations deeply understood this phenomenon, and mystics and philosophers dedicated years to its study. Modern society, however, prefers to explain such moments as luck, chance, or chaos, because acknowledging the true nature of synchronicities could threaten the established system. After all, these moments prove that the universe is far more complex and interesting than commonly believed. In the following discussion, we will pull back the curtain on synchronicities, exploring their nature, causes, and how to use them to transform your life. Prepare for a fascinating journey into a world where coincidences are not random, and every event can hold deep meaning and potential for change. From the moment we are born, each person is subtly conditioned to believe in the dominance of logic, order, and predictability. In this worldview, everything must have a rational explanation, and anything that falls outside the rational is ruthlessly dismissed as a mere coincidence or a figment of a vivid imagination. But what if such conditioning wasn't accidental? What if it was carefully planned with a devious purpose to keep humanity unaware of the powerful, unseen forces that subtly govern reality? Just recall your childhood years. At a young age, every person was naturally attuned to sensing the subtlest patterns, energy flows, and intuitive insights. Children noticed amazing things, how certain events inexplicably aligned, how they could sense impending changes, how they instinctively felt when someone was thinking of them. But what happened when they shared these astonishing experiences? In response, they only heard, "It's just your imagination." They were persistently taught to ignore these inner voices, to trust only what could be measured, proven, and neatly categorized. The education system subtly instilled the idea that the world is merely a physical construct, a soulless machine devoid of mysteries and deeper intelligence, a simple sequence of random and unrelated events. And so, gradually, people stopped paying attention to these subtle signals, disconnecting from their intuition and innate wisdom. Education has played a significant role in suppressing the human spirit. School curricula did not focus on developing intuition, recognizing signs of fate, or understanding energy flows. Instead, the emphasis was on memorizing facts, following established rules, and unquestioning obedience to authority. Creative thinking, rich imagination, and the capacity for abstract thought were systematically relegated, giving way to logical reasoning and empirical data. The prevailing principle was, if a phenomenon cannot be seen, measured, or weighed, then it does not exist. And naturally, questioning this established model was strongly discouraged. The entire educational system was built on the idea of absolute trust in external authorities, while ignoring the inner voice and personal knowledge of each individual. Science, in particular, assumed the role of the primary gatekeeper of truth. However, this was not about genuine science, which seeks to explore the unknown, but about its mainstream, rigid, and materialistic version, asserting that everything in the world is random, meaningless, and explained by simple chance. According to this simplified model, synchronicities are dismissed as nothing more than cognitive biases, tricks of the mind. If someone constantly sees 11:11 on a clock, it's explained by confirmation bias. Meeting the right person at the right moment is considered mere luck. Any manifestations of deeper meaning are denied, leaving individuals isolated from the forces guiding them through life. However, it is often overlooked that many of history's greatest minds, such as Carl Jung, Nikola Tesla, and Albert Einstein, recognized that reality is not as random as we are led to believe. They understood that synchronicities, patterns, and hidden connections are keys to grasping a deeper truth. Nevertheless, society tends to ridicule those who take such experiences seriously. Openly discussing synchronicities often leads to being labeled as superstitious, irrational, or even insane. Those who embrace these signs are considered spiritual eccentrics, while adherents of a materialistic worldview are lauded as logical, intellectual, and rational. This is not a random phenomenon, but the result of deliberate social conditioning. To control a population, it is necessary to ensure that people never unlock their inner power. For as soon as a person begins to pay attention to synchronicities, they realize something profound, their connection to something far greater than themselves. The true reason for the reluctance to acknowledge the significance of synchronicities lies in their ability to expose flaws in the fabric of the illusory world. They serve as proof that reality is not merely a soulless mechanism, but a complex, interconnected system, keenly responsive to human thoughts, feelings, and energetic impulses. Once one truly grasps the existence of these patterns, there is no turning back. It is from this moment that a genuine awakening of consciousness begins. This naturally raises the question, if synchronicities are not random coincidences, what is their nature? What is their source? And why do their manifestations become more apparent as awareness deepens? Surely everyone has experienced events in their life so precisely timed and circumstantial that their randomness seems inconceivable. For example, a sudden call from someone with whom you haven't had contact in years, or randomly opening a book to a page that contains the answer to a nagging question. Constantly repeating numerical sequences such as 111, 222, 333, seem to follow you everywhere, as if the universe is leaving signs along your life's path. All of these are not just random coincidences, but purposeful messages, and the more attention you pay to them, the more frequently they appear. However, the main secret is that synchronicities are not merely coincidences, but intentional signals emanating from a higher intelligence, a force that subtly guides you throughout your life. The universe is not a chaotic collection of unrelated events, but a unified energy field permeated by consciousness. Every thought, every intention, every experience generates a specific frequency, like a radio signal, and synchronicities are the universe's response to these signals, a kind of bridge between the visible and the invisible, the material and the metaphysical, the conscious and the subconscious. Carl Jung, a towering intellect in the annals of modern psychology, introduced the world to the concept of synchronicity, observing countless instances of events that seem to defy conventional logic. He posited that these meaningful coincidences were not mere accidents, but rather manifestations of a deeper, hidden order within the fabric of reality. an idea that ancient spiritual traditions had cherished for centuries. Eastern philosophies call it karma, mystics speak of divine timing, and quantum physicists describe it as non-locality, the notion that everything in the universe is intricately connected beyond the confines of space and time. Despite compelling evidence, mainstream science typically shies away from this topic, dismissing it as a mere illusion. However, consider this. The entire universe is built on patterns and interconnected structures. Nature adheres to fractal geometry, and planetary orbits align in mathematically perfect proportions. Even human DNA is encoded with repeating sequences. Every manifestation of existence operates through patterns, cycles, and relationships. In light of this, why should human experience be an exception? Why shouldn't our thoughts, emotions, and decisions be subject to an underlying structure? The answer is simple. They are. Synchronicities serve as proof of this hidden design, a kind of glitch in the matrix, moments when the underlying order of the universe is revealed. Once a person begins to recognize these synchronicities, they start to realize that reality is far more fluid and malleable than they were led to believe. If synchronistic events are viewed as a type of message, the question of their source inevitably arises. Who or what is behind these enigmatic signs of destiny? Some are inclined to see them as a manifestation of the higher self, an inner compass pointing the right direction in life. Others perceive synchronicities as echoes of the collective unconscious, that boundless ocean of shared human wisdom and experience that Jung wrote about. There are also those who believe these are encrypted signals sent by some external intelligence, be it the universe itself, divine providence, the universal source, an energy field, or even the creators of a global simulation attempting to establish contact with its participants. Regardless of their true origin, one thing is clear: synchronistic events are not meaningless. They are a kind of call to awakening, an invitation to pay attention to what is happening and to transition from automatic existence to the conscious creation of one's own reality. As soon as a person begins to notice and recognize these signs, the veil of randomness shrouding the world gradually dissipates. And then the natural question arises: if synchronicity is not just a game of chance, what are its deeper mechanisms? What lies behind the scenes of reality, causing these astonishing coincidences? And most importantly, how can synchronistic events be used to transform one's own life? The answer to these questions lies in understanding the hidden patterns that underpin the very fabric of existence. If synchronicity is viewed as a message sent by some higher intelligence, the question of its mode of operation inevitably arises. How do these astonishing coincidences, which seem inexplicable from a logical standpoint, occur? In reality, there is a hidden mechanism that allows us to understand why certain events in our lives appear mysteriously connected. By grasping this mechanism, one realizes that their influence on the surrounding reality is far greater than they were led to believe. At the heart of the phenomenon of synchronicity lies a simple yet fundamental idea. The human mind is not merely a passive observer of what happens, but an active co-creator of reality. Modern neurobiological research confirms that the human brain filters incoming information based on its attention and focus. This process is facilitated by the reticular activating system, RAS, located in the brainstem. The RAS acts as a kind of gatekeeper, determining which information reaches consciousness. Surely everyone has noticed that after buying a new car model, Similar cars start appearing everywhere. Of course, these cars existed before, but the brain simply didn't pay attention to them, didn't filter them out from the general flow. A similar process occurs with synchronicities. As soon as a person begins to become aware of them, believe in their existence, and expect their manifestation, the brain recalibrates, and synchronistic events begin to occur more frequently. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, as the mechanism of synchronicity extends far deeper than neurobiology. In the world of science and metaphysics, the idea that human consciousness plays a decisive role in shaping the surrounding reality has long been gaining traction. Quantum physics, with its astonishing discoveries, provides strong arguments in favor of this hypothesis. The classic double-slit experiment clearly demonstrates how the act of observation influences the behavior of particles at the subatomic level. This phenomenon forces us to consider that reality is not something fixed and independent, but rather a dynamic and responsive system. Human thoughts, feelings, and intentions are capable of interacting with the very fabric of existence, directly influencing it. This concept is closely intertwined with the law of vibration, a cornerstone of metaphysical knowledge. According to this law, everything in the universe, from the smallest particles to vast galaxies, is energy vibrating at various frequencies. Human thoughts and emotions are also forms of energy, possessing specific vibrations. It is these frequencies, like invisible magnets, that attract certain events and circumstances into a person's life. If a person is constantly immersed in thoughts of fear, lack, and limitations, their energetic field aligns with corresponding vibrations, and they begin to notice only what confirms these negative beliefs around them. However, as soon as a person changes their frequency, shifting their attention to positive goals and a sense of harmony, reality begins to reflect these changes. This is why people who discover the world of synchronicities suddenly start noticing them more and more often. It's not just about heightened awareness, but also about a change in their energetic state to which the surrounding world responds. By focusing on signs, patterns, and messages, a person tunes their consciousness to the hidden order of the universe, much like tuning a radio receiver to the correct frequency. And here, the subconscious comes into play, playing a huge role in creating synchronistic events. While the conscious mind is occupied with daily tasks, the subconscious tirelessly works to establish deep connections, analyzing information and identifying hidden patterns. When a person formulates an intention, consciously or unconsciously, their subconscious begins to arrange events in a way that brings the desired outcome closer. This is why people who firmly believe in synchronicities encounter them much more often. Their subconscious is actively involved in shaping reality. Skeptics might argue that this is all just a manifestation of selective attention, and synchronicities are random events that the brain simply chooses to notice. But if that were the case, then why do these events so often carry deep personal meaning? Why do they perfectly align with a person's thoughts, emotions, and inner experiences, appearing at the most opportune moment? And why do they possess the remarkable ability to guide people toward life-changing decisions? Synchronicity is not just a random coincidence. It is a unique dialogue between consciousness, the subconscious, and the fundamental intelligence that governs the reality around us. The key is to learn to interact with these signs of destiny, not to ignore them. When a person consciously tunes into the frequency of synchronicity, it not only begins to manifest more often, but also becomes a powerful tool for personal transformation. A natural question arises: why do some people constantly encounter synchronicities, while others seem to miss them entirely? What distinguishes those who live in harmony with the flow of life from those who feel disconnected from it? The answer lies in awareness, alignment, and belief. Most people live their lives in a state of disconnection, trapped by logical thinking, doubt, and rigid materialism. They have been convinced that life is a purely mechanical process, where everything is subject to cause and effect. Luck is random, and the universe is indifferent. This belief system erects a mental barrier, preventing the manifestation of synchronicities. Even when significant coincidences occur, they dismiss them, unwilling to see deeper patterns. Imagine a dark room filled with radio waves. Hundreds of stations are broadcasting simultaneously, but without a receiver tuned to the right frequency, you won't hear anything. Similarly with synchronicities, if your mind is not tuned to the frequency of alignment, you won't notice the signals that reality constantly sends. In contrast, people who live in harmony with synchronicities have simply learned to be receptive to the signs around them. They don't dismiss strange coincidences as mere chance, but pay attention to them, trust their intuition, and follow the unfolding patterns. The deeper one delves into the world of synchronicities, the more frequently they appear in their life. This phenomenon is explained by the interaction of the subconscious and the law of vibration. The subconscious, like a powerful radar, continuously scans the surrounding reality, picking up details that escape conscious perception. It identifies hidden patterns, subtle connections, and missed opportunities. By focusing on synchronicities, one essentially programs their subconscious to seek them out, transforming it into a highly sensitive search mechanism. The subconscious begins to filter reality, highlighting moments that previously went unnoticed. This is why some people seem to be lucky, as they intuitively guide their lives by aligning with favorable opportunities and noticing signs that others ignore. Their subconscious is tuned to the frequency of synchronicity. The law of vibration states that everything in the universe, including thoughts and emotions, vibrates at a specific frequency. When a person is in a state of low vibration, caused by fear, doubt, and negative thoughts, their energy contracts and their awareness narrows. In such a state, it is extremely difficult to recognize synchronicities, as perception is blocked by a survival mode focused on immediate problems. However, by raising one's vibrations through gratitude, mindfulness, curiosity, and intention, a person tunes into a harmonious resonance with the universe. Their energy expands, and they begin to attract synchronicities as their consciousness operates at a frequency conducive to their manifestation. It's no coincidence that people who practice meditation, mindfulness, or deep self-reflection report a significant increase in the number of synchronicities in their lives. They clear their minds of mental noise and tune their perception to the hidden order of reality. We cannot overlook trust as a key element. Those who regularly encounter synchronicity are distinguished by their faith in what is happening. They do not question the authenticity of the signs, but follow them, responding to the signals, thereby strengthening the pattern. Acknowledgement, trust, and acting in accordance with synchronicity lead to their multiplication. And this is where many fail. They notice the signs but hesitate to act, doubt, overanalyze, or ignore them entirely. This weakens the connection and leads to the disappearance of synchronicity. After all, synchronicity is not just a message, it is an opportunity for harmonization. The universe points to the door, but the decision to enter remains with the individual. A natural question arises: how can one strengthen this connection? How can one learn to recognize, interpret, and act in accordance with synchronicity so that it becomes a guiding star in life? The answer lies in the ability to decipher the signs. This is what we are about to unveil. Around each of us, a kaleidoscope of synchronicities unfolds every minute. Yet most people, unfortunately, lack the key to recognizing them, or, even worse, dismiss them as mere coincidence. But once you learn to identify these patterns and decipher their hidden meaning, an astonishing fact will be revealed. Reality is constantly engaging in a silent dialogue with us. The first step on the path to understanding the language of synchronicities is awareness. It is necessary to undergo a paradigm shift, abandoning the naive belief in randomness and embracing the idea of universal interconnectedness. The universe communicates with us through symbols, repeating patterns, and precise timing. These signs often manifest in 3 different forms, one of which is numbers and repeating numerical combinations. Surely, each of us has at some point noticed the persistent repetition of the same numbers: 11, 11, 222, 333. These numerical sequences are by no means accidental. Numbers carry specific vibrational frequencies, and their appearance in our lives can indicate impending changes in our surrounding reality. In ancient mystical teachings, numbers were viewed as a kind of blueprint of the cosmos, and the appearance of certain sequences served as a signal of energetic alignment. It's important to pay attention to your thoughts and feelings at the moment these numbers appear, as this is how the subconscious attempts to convey an important message to us. Symbolic encounters play an important role in our lives. Often synchronicity manifests through objects, animals, or signs that hold personal meaning for an individual. It could be a song suddenly playing that perfectly fits the moment, a phrase heard from different people throughout the day, or an animal unexpectedly appearing on your path. All these are parts of one large message directed at us. The key is to trust. If something feels important, it most likely is events and significant coincidences where circumstances align in an inexplicable way, hold particular importance. A person on the verge of giving up on a dream suddenly receives an unexpected opportunity, a chance meeting with the right person at the opportune moment. Such events are not accidental. They are guiding forces helping us move in the right direction. So how do you decipher these synchronicities? Start by asking the right questions. When a synchronistic event occurs, pause and reflect. What were you thinking or feeling immediately before it? What decision are you currently facing, and how does this relate to what happened? Does this event confirm your thoughts or challenge them? Is there any pattern? Has something similar happened before? One of the most effective tools is keeping a synchronicity journal. Record every unusual or significant instance. Over time, you will begin to notice patterns, recurring symbols, messages, and clear guidance. The more diligently you track synchronicities, the more frequently they will appear in your life. However, recognizing synchronicities is only the first step. Actions based on them can transform your life. If you see a recurring sign prompting action, act on it. If you consistently encounter the same message, it means the universe is awaiting your response. People who live in harmony with synchronicities are those who trust them and act in accordance with them. This brings us to the final question. How can you consciously attract more synchronicities into your life? Once you learn to open this channel, you can use synchronicities as a tool for achieving real change. Awareness of synchronicity is only the first step, but the true power lies in the ability to use them as a tool for personal transformation. In reality, synchronicities are not just random signs, but rather invitations, opportunities for a qualitative shift, for achieving harmony, and for entering a reality where all circumstances are favorable to you. The main question is how attentive one is to these signs and whether they are ready to act in accordance with them. Most people tend to view synchronicities as something mystical and passive, as amusing coincidences worthy only of fleeting attention. However, in reality, synchronicities represent a form of direct communication between a person and the deep intelligence of the universe. They are signals indicating that a person is in harmony with the surrounding world, or, conversely, warnings about a disruption of that harmony. People who experience the most synchronicities aren't just lucky. They are conscious creators of their reality. So how can you use synchronicity to change your life? It all comes down to 3 key steps: intention, harmonization, and action. The first step is setting a clear intention. Synchronicities are highly responsive to focus. The more specific your thoughts and desires, the clearer the signs become. If you need guidance, you should ask for it. Formulate a precise intention. Ask for a sign confirming you're on the right path. Reveal the next step towards your goal, or bring the right people, opportunities, and circumstance into your life. A crucial aspect is being open to various forms of answers. The universe doesn't communicate linearly or predictably. It uses symbols, emotions, and experiences. The more often you make requests, the more signs you'll begin to notice around you. The second step is harmonizing your energy. Synchronicities reflect your vibrational state. A state of resistance, doubt, fear, or overthinking blocks the natural flow. However, when you're in a state of trust, enthusiasm, and receptiveness, signs begin to appear more frequently. This is why synchronicities typically activate during periods of significant change, when you embark on an uncharted yet harmonious path. One of the fastest ways to increase the number of synchronicities is to raise your own vibrational frequency. Practices such as meditation, expressing gratitude, visualization, and deep self-reflection bring you into a state of openness where synchronicities can manifest freely. If you've ever experienced a period in your life where everything seemingly fell into place magically, it wasn't by chance, but a result of harmonization. Most people stumble at the most crucial stage, decisive action. Upon noticing signs, they succumb to doubt, overanalyze the situation, and seek additional confirmation. However, it's important to understand that synchronicity is not merely a signal for observation. It's a powerful impetus for action. The repeated appearance of a specific number, phrase, or symbol is not a coincidence, but a clear call for change, an inexplicable pull toward a new path, person, or prospect indicates that the universe is opening new horizons for you. The key is not to miss the moment and boldly step through the opening door. It's important to remember that synchronicity tends to intensify when you follow its call. As soon as you begin to trust your inner voice and act in accordance with it, reality starts transforming in your favor. The more attentively you listen to the signs, the clearer they become. The universe generously rewards those who are not afraid to move forward. People whose lives are filled with deep harmony with synchronicity never ignore the signs of fate. Instead, they boldly take action. As a result, favorable opportunities, beneficial connections, and perfectly timed moments become commonplace for them. They don't wait for life to surprise them. They actively participate in its creation. Now you face an important choice, armed with an understanding of what synchronicity is, how it works, and how to use it. What will you do with this knowledge? The crucial step is integrating this understanding into your daily life to fully embark on a path of awareness, harmony, and unity with the world. This is precisely what lies ahead. Now that the veil of mystery surrounding the phenomenon of synchronicity has been lifted and the truth revealed in all its splendor, a natural question arises for each individual. How will you utilize this revelation? Unfortunately, a significant number of people, upon encountering the disclosed aspects of this phenomenon, tend to revert to familiar behavioral patterns. Noticing a manifestation of synchronicity, feeling a fleeting thrill of wonder, they quickly dismiss it, explaining everything as a mere coincidence. Upon receiving a sign pointing to new horizons and opportunities, they succumb to hesitation, get bogged down in excessive deliberation, and allow fear to shackle their resolve. Such individuals remain in a vicious cycle of doubt, awaiting irrefutable proof, striving for absolute certainty. However, as practice shows, certainty does not precede action. Rather, it is its natural consequence. The system in which we exist has subtly conditioned us to ignore signs of fate, to rationalize them, and to remain detached from the profound intelligence guiding our lives. But now, the veil has lifted. It becomes evident that reality is not a chaotic jumble of coincidences, but an orderly, intelligent, and responsive structure. And what is especially important, each of us is an integral part of this structure. Our thoughts, feelings, and decisions directly influence the shaping of our life path. We do not merely passively drift along the current of reality, we actively co-create it. So, what does this mean in practice? Synchronicity is not a random coincidence addressed to an individual. Rather, it is a purposeful message specifically intended for them. Every harmonious convergence of circumstances, every moment when time seems to pause at a perfect point, every recurring number, symbol, or sign, these are nothing less than an invitation to reevaluate life, to trust your inner voice, to expand your horizons, to achieve harmony with yourself, and most importantly, to take action. It is important to grasp one simple truth. Do not disregard the signs the universe sends. Initially, it speaks in whispers, subtly hinting at the right path. If you don't listen, the messages grow louder, more persistent, trying to reach your consciousness. And if you continue to ignore these signs, synchronicity disappears, returning you to familiar, unconscious behavioral patterns, leaving you to drift aimlessly through life. However, if you're attentive to the signs, if you perceive synchronicity as reality, if you follow it, your life can change dramatically. The people who experience the most synchronicities in their lives are not just lucky. They are individuals who pay attention to details, trust their intuition, and believe in the process. Because of this, their lives unfold as if an invisible force is working behind the scenes, aligning all circumstance in their favor. And such a force truly exists. But this is only a small part of what can be said about synchronicity. This is precisely why the Academy of Insights exists, designed to delve deeper into the knowledge hidden from a superficial glance. By registering now, you can receive the ebook Kalion as a gift. Don't miss this opportunity. The patterns have been noticed. The harmony has been felt. It's time to cast aside doubt and begin to trust. You must be attentive, follow the signs, and act in accordance with them. Once you enter a state of harmony, you will understand that synchronicity is not a rare phenomenon, but a pervasive one, merely awaiting the awakening of consciousness to finally be noticed.